Welcome to Moviefone Unscripted. I'm here with my now friend Kurt Russell. I'm Josh Lucas, and we're going to talk about our film Poseidon and maybe hopefully some other things as well. We're going to interview each other with questions, I guess, come from the internet, and we'll come up with some of our own and try and throw each other. And I will start with the first question.
Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Kurt. Nice to see you too. How does this film differ from the original?
Well, you weren't born yet, but I remember seeing the original. I'd been working for 10 years. It was a really fun experience, really full. It was a disaster film. There weren't many of those around yet at that time, so it was kind of a new thing. The way this one's different, I think, is that we're so much more streamlined. We're the Wolfgang Peterson version, which is we don't spend time talking about who we are, who we were, and who we hope and what we hope we'll do once we get away. I think that, as we discussed many times, best thing to do here was to continue the process in this realistic fashion of once the boat goes over, trying to get out. You really don't have much time. So we got to watch the behavior of the people and begin to learn about them in that regard.
But the wave is hit by the boat in the first movie in the first hour, and ours it's 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean 10 minutes into it. And I think that what was good about that was that it allowed the audience to make in this movie to feel like suddenly they're a part of it.
Sure.
All right, let's see. I got one here for you. In what ways do you think that you're similar to the character that you played, Dylan?
I like about this guy, and I think I am similar in this way. I don't know that I would be the coolest cat under these conditions. I think there would be moments. There's a couple different moments you and I have where you're sort of boiling with rage and the fear and the different emotions that you feel like you've hit a dead end, and you don't necessarily have everything together. You're not going to be. You're not going to be in control in a way, and there's going to be moments of absolute utter panic and terror, and there's going to be moments where you feel like you're broken down.
I thought it was increasingly interesting to watch you play the side of this guy that begins to crack, that begins to, whatever his off-screen wound is. Sure. I felt like I was going to get to know what it was somehow, but I'm really getting to watch the behavior. I was interested in how you were able to just take that ball and run with it, and what process you went through in terms of, did you ever doubt it? Did you ever say,
oh yeah, no,
I don't know if this is the right thing to do?
Obviously, remember we had conversations throughout it all the time. Like, I thought that was the thing that I enjoyed so much, was me, you, and Richard all sitting down at certain points and figuring out how, like, what's the truth of the situation. We go back, we look at CNN in our trailer. There's Katrina. There's these people going through horrible situations. You watch, a heroic police chief in New Orleans really break down. I mean, genuinely have moments of watching them feel. And I sat there sometimes and thought, you need to, if you're going to be genuine in this film, that's what you need to show. And you might dislike him, and you might feel that he's maybe a bit weak, which is not what you want from a heroic movie like this. And I had very difficult moments where I thought, at some point you need to let the audience have fun with you too, and trying to find those moments, because it is not United 93. This is, you know what I mean? This is not that movie. This is a summer blockbuster fun movie.
The safety during the filming, we'll just compare notes there. I think. How did you feel every day you went to work?
Like I was in a sinking ship.
Was there anything that you were worried about in specific?
Well, there was a moment, you weren't there for this actually, but there was a moment during the scene where one of the characters you think has drowned or maybe drowns, when I was working with a little boy and Jacinda's character, where they said at one point, look, we can see the safety divers, so get out of the shot. And I just kind of remember thinking, well, if they're not in the shot, then they maybe can't see me, and yell roll camera actions, and there's all that madness going on.
I think what you're saying is, and I think to set this up for people to understand, that we had sets that were then submerged completely underwater. That once you went into the set, you couldn't get out, so you had to have someone come in and give you air. You were relying completely upon them. And I remember at times we talk about, well, what if that guy doesn't see you? If he doesn't find you in the set? What if you get lost? What if your foot gets stuck? What if he gets stuck on his way in and nobody sees that he's stuck? I remember all these things were things we were concerned about. How concerned were you? Because this was my big one. With all those lights, cameras, and electrical equipment and wires and cables underwater, I was just always first and foremost worried about a mass electrocution.
Like 300 people.
Yeah, did you? I mean, was that on your mind?
Slaughtered.
I didn't even want to talk about it.
Yeah. No, and then I wasn't there the day that happened, but
the guy underneath me. I was
the guy who was fried underneath you.
Yeah, I was standing on a catwalk. He was on he was on a ladder underneath me, and I remember when I started to watch him go, I just wanted to make sure he wasn't touching any part of it.
that you weren't.
Shut it off!
You weren't electrocuted as well.
But it wasn't long before he flew off of that thing. But
You know, my favorite moment is I was sitting one day. I had to be wet. We were all wet for so long, but I was wet a little bit earlier than the rest of you guys, and they hadn't brought a hot tub to set yet. So you're going from cold water into nothing. You're standing on the side. So I had them bring. This was ridiculous. They brought a kiddie pool. They brought this little kiddie pool. So there's moments of me like sitting in a kiddie.
Little blue puffed up kiddie pool.
Little blue. I'm sitting there in my full tuxedo in this little kiddie pool, which I'm demanding that they pour more warm water in. And the grip comes running over, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? This is live electrical water right here." And we all realized that by the grace of God, I had not been electrocuted in my little kiddie pool.
When you finished this, did you sort of? I mean, I know how I felt. I said, like, I'm glad this is over with.
Yeah, I know.
How did you feel when it was done?
I've never been a part of something where I went home and genuinely said, "Thank God, no one died this week."
Yeah.
Yeah, and
glad,
even when someone was electrocuted, even when I went to the hospital and the doctor thanked me because he said, you guys, we're getting 10 people a day from your film, 10 people a day
from all the
whatever it
illnesses
was,
and whatever
it was, the bronchial thing that everyone got.
I always felt so sorry for myself because I felt bad because I had H influenza, didn't know what it was for so long, and I just was going crazy. Yeah. And then finally got pneumonia, so I always felt, it's like, boy, I really had a tough go. Until of course, I managed to basically take your right eyebrow off, and then I watched you manage to basically take your right thumb or your right thumb. You really I knew that was bad when it happened.
This is a nasty injury, yeah.
And we couldn't for a minute figure out what had happened to your eye. That was literally a geyser
gushing blood.
This is fun because we've actually got control of an interview for once, and I'd like to talk to you about something that I think actually really matters to me and matters to you. I think maybe this might be interesting to people who don't make movies. I do hope this is your breakthrough movie. You're in this movie in what has been placed in what is now called the toughest weekend of the year. 52 weeks. 52 weeks. Where can we put it? We'll put it there. Toms. Between two big movies, and it's going to be a part of a great month. What does it make you feel? What do you think about? If you're an actor, what are these things? What are the things that are going through your mind?
I had a conversation recently with someone. I said, "Do I have bad karma?"
Do you like that? Do you look at that as a challenge, or do you look at that as like, you got to be kidding me?
Honestly, a little bit of both. Where there's a little bit of a sense of like you work incredibly hard and you make movies that you're actually really proud of, and then no one sees them, or you for whatever reason you make something and it's put in a situation where even though it is as good as it is, it's still against Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks, or the same sort of thing.
Sandwiched in
between the same sort of thing, and you're sort of clawing your way into that position where you're hoping to have that big breakout moment, but for whatever reason you never know when or how that's going to come. And you talked about with your daughter about how she was put in front of the ad campaign, her face and named very much on the poster of Almost Famous, and how that was boom. There it was.
It was boom. We
have no idea why.
My other favorite person to talk about in that regard, back in my time of looking at things like that, Jean-Claude Van Damme was always the one that fascinated me. Was Jean-Claude Van Damme in? And I thought, how does that happen? I mean, I've done 30 movies. I'm not going to do this. They're not going to present this as Kurt Russell in, right? I mean, so I thought, fascinating. I thought about karma too, and said, you do have the opportunity to take control of these things. You also have the opportunity to sort of see what happens, and it can keep you afar. I get the sense that you like being a little bit out of. And
does it become the best thing in the world for you because therefore the audience doesn't have nearly as much baggage when they go to watch you because they don't care who you're divorced or marrying. Right. They don't care what fight you're having with some. You know what I mean? Because a lot of that stuff, when you put yourself into that position of being the guy in a way who is in the head of big blockbuster summer movies, Tom Cruise-ish in that sense, you have to deal with all the different baggage that the audience brings to watch you as opposed to. So it's an odd tightrope.
Okay, Kurt, Josh, let's finish this sentence. 3 things that I love about summer movies are.
Ooh, I'm not the biggest fan of summer movies. Maybe I think that oftentimes they're bad.
One. I'm sticking to it. There's one. They're bad. Generally.
They're bad. They're badly acted.
Badly acted. I'll give you that.
And sometimes they're fantastically fun to watch because they're just these big, terrific set pieces. So, I mean, you really are going to sit there and watch something that you basically walk out of and go, "Hey, let's get a drink," and you never even think about or talk about the movie again. I mean, it was like a roller coaster ride that hopefully you had a good time on, and hopefully you didn't spend too much time going clunk, clunk, clunk.
Okay. Oh, this is you to me.
All right. Finish this sentence. Things I love about movies. Okay.
Well, that's different. It for me.
You're lucky.
3 things I love about movies. I love sitting down in the theater. Theater goes dark, and I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm most of the time I don't know what it's going to be about. I start having one line general idea. So it's like Christmas. I don't know what's behind that box.
You still feel that way, even
And I
though
still
having
feel that
made
way every
15
time. Yeah, every time. I'm a sucker for that. I love good, intricate, well-told stories where the characters, on their own, draw me into the story. I like that. That's what I mean. I think that's when that's done well. I really love movies for that. That I guess at the end of the day, you can have the kind of experience that is elevating somehow.
You've been watching Kurt and I hopefully have somewhat of an interesting conversation. Kind of what we did in the trailer every single day.
It's been it's just been fun, actually.
Yeah,
I've never had this opportunity before.
Absolutely. So thank you to Moviefone. Thank you for sending in your questions. And check out Poseidon, which comes out Friday.
See you in the next, whatever it is.
So it is. Exactly.
We did good to get a job. I thought we were good. Now I want to have a talk show with everyone we ever worked with.
Yeah, seriously. Can you imagine if three of us, you mean Dreyfus could do it?